So in this demonstration, we're going to look at Azure Online Backup and how simple it is to use to back up files on our server. In this case, perhaps we've got a line of business application on this server where we have a back-end database that we want to back up to the cloud. So here's a 70 meg file, and let's back that up. So I'm going to open up the Azure Backup client, very similar to most backup clients you would have seen in the past, and I'm going to schedule a new job to back up our data. So let's click on that. And we go through the prompts here. We get to choose the items that we want to back up. In this case, I'll back up the entire folder that the line of business application and the data was sitting in. I'll click on next. We obviously get to schedule the backup times and dates. I'll choose a couple of days during the week here, and I can choose a couple of times just for the sake of it. And we'll click on next. And finally, we can choose a retention period in Azure Online Backup. That can be currently up to 30 days. I'll just leave it at 7 for the moment. And we just submit that job now after confirming all that looks good, and that'll create the backup schedule for us. There we go. Now, rather than waiting for that to run, I'll just force it to run by clicking on backup now, and we can have a look how that works. So it's confirming that it's backing up that folder in this job for me, and now it's going to commence starting that backup. It won't take very long. We'll wait a few seconds here and it'll start transferring that data. Okay, so a minute or so has passed and our backup client is telling us it's successfully transferred nearly 85 meg, which is our line of business database, and our job is now completed. So we've just backed up that data to the Azure Cloud Backup Service without too much trouble at all within the Windows Azure Backup client here. Azure Backup, of course, supports incremental backup. So out of interest, let's see what happens if we just add another file into our CRM database folder here that we're backing up. So we'll add in another file, and I'll just show you that the previous backup job there was almost 85 meg. And so let's just hit backup now again after we've added that extra data to the folder, and out of interest, see how much data is transferred this time. Okay, so that took a minute there, and as you can see, it's only backed up 1.74 meg of data. So just the delta between what we backed up first and that additional data we put in there, and you can see there 1.74 meg. So let's look at the other scenario and how that works under Windows Azure Backup. Let's say we delete our line of business database. A user deletes it. Oh no, shock and awe. What are we going to do? Of course, we'll recover that data from our backup. So to see how the recovery works, again, very standard for a backup client. We go in, we select the existing data that's been backed up. We can choose the recovery point from which we want to back it up. It gives us a choice there. There's a couple I must have ran earlier before the demo, so I have a few different points to choose from. Let's go back and choose the furthest one. And then I can actually browse into the backup and get a view of the files that are available for me to restore. And luckily, there is my database backend file, which of course I can choose to restore that to the original location or a different location. I get a few of the usual options, and I'm going to choose to recover. And again, that's just going to take a few moments now to download that 80 meg or so back to my server and restore my database. Okay, so we can see the data transferring here as it restores my database, and it's downloaded the data, completed. There we go, all done. Let's close that. Go and check our location here, and oh, thank goodness for that, our back-end database is alive again. So that's the Windows Azure Backup experience, in this case on a Windows Server 2012 R2 box. Very familiar backup experience to what you'd be used to with most backup applications. Nothing special we need to do there, even though we're using the Azure service to back up the data. Now, to understand how to actually configure and set up the Azure Backup service, be sure to watch the corresponding video in the Under the Hood playlist. And to understand how to deliver the solution to your customers, be sure to watch the video in the Delivering the Goods playlist.